You've just listened to the first meditation. Hopefully you really enjoyed it. You've started to feel something shifting, even if you're not sure what, why or how. That's how magic happens. You start to notice the shift. Things that have been there causing problems and blocking you for years should start to release, should start to change, and new energy should start to come alive. What you've experienced in that meditation is something called EVT. Now, as you know, I've been teaching this stuff for decades, longer than I care to mention, and I first discovered the power of hypnotherapy and the subconscious mind back in 1985. So we're talking a long time ago. Let's say nothing else about that. But basically, I was very ADHD, attention deficit, head in the sky, etc. at school. And I didn't really enjoy school. I didn't learn anything much at school as far as I was concerned. And then one day, right towards the end of my school career, I bumped into a hypnotherapist. Just like you with the meditation, it wasn't that I needed to intellectually understand it, I just needed to experience it. And when I did, I realized there was a whole world of possibilities and opportunity and magic that I didn't know about. Everything came alive just in a moment, you know, and that's what I'm trying to share with you now. The reason I share that story is simply to say that I went from unhappy to happy, lost to found, you know, black and white to colour in terms of movies, you know, everything came alive, everything had a certain sparkle to it all of a sudden. And although my life didn't change dramatically in terms of results there and then, my whole trajectory of life changed and everything was more exciting, okay? So, and that I guess is where my whole kind of business dreams and ideas and creativity first kicked into life. I realized, you know, I do have that in me. I'm not just, you know, who am I to have big dreams? Who am I to want something exciting in my life? Who am I to grow a business, etc.? That was melted there and then. So yeah, I've gone on to spend many, many years studying, teaching and developing life coaching training schools, hypnotherapy training schools, neuro-linguistic programming, and so on. And EVT is the model that I've developed with my clients and my students over the years that is perfect for what we're doing right here, right now with the source code process. So to break EVT down to you into 4 simple steps, the process is you let go or release, okay? It's all about energy, okay? So you let go and release the energetic vibration, the tunings that you don't want, okay? Which we'll talk about in a moment. Stage 2, so that's stage 1. Stage 2, you activate, okay? So in the first lesson, we talked about source code and how you're activating this new frequency, this higher frequency, more unique version of you. It's always been there, but until we let go of the things that are getting in the way, we're not going to be able to fully activate it. Okay, and that's really important. Once we've activated it, we amplify. Because that's easy. Because the universe amplifies for you already. If you wake up in the morning feeling sad, I can guarantee it won't be long till you feel even more sad, because the universe will expand and elevate and amplify, magnify whatever, you know, the thing that you're feeling. So once we've activated a new frequency, a more positive frequency of, you know, I'm growing my dream business and I'm growing my business fast and amazing things are happening, the universe will amplify that more and more and more. And then the 4th, we don't want to have to keep reinventing the wheel. We don't want to have to keep going back to the beginning again. So number 4 is automate. Just like everybody automates things in business now, you know, systems and processes, and people automate technical things on their, you know, in terms of IT and computers, etc. You can automate the way this energetic tuning is working for you. And you don't have to wake up every morning and say, oh no, I've forgotten, I need to remember about my source code. You just want it kicking in. You want to wake up in the morning excited, motivated, positive, believing that it's going to be a great day and wonderful things are going to happen and your business is going to grow and your life is going to grow more abundant and you're going to make more and more of a positive difference, and so on. And it becomes this self-perpetuating cycle. Right. Let's talk about how this actually looks in reality. Before you get back to the second meditation, which is going to be wonderful, you're going to love the second meditation. It's going to take things 10 times better, you know, 10 times bigger, 10 times better than the first one. And you're going to love that. But before, let's just talk about this model. Okay, so this pyramid or pathway. Here's what's happening in your life. All of this stuff, 90%. Maybe that's the iceberg thing, but kind of in reverse. That's above the water. That's your life. That's your business. That's the results you're getting at the moment. So if you're feeling stuck, all of that stuckness shows up here. Okay? If you're feeling frustrated because you could be doing better, more, bringing in more revenue, bringing in more clients, growing your programs or your packages or whatever it is you're doing, if you feel it's not showing up the way you want, I can guarantee you it's all being driven here. Okay, what's going on here? This is your identity. This is not what you're doing, and that's the big mistake. People spend so much time thinking they need to do something differently, work harder, persevere, work harder, do all these things, do all the things, but actually who you're being is what actually drives your results. Okay, and we'll talk more about that. You're going to discover more and more about that in this world, but for now, just understand this bit at the bottom, who you are being, is what makes everything else happen. So, the problem with identity, and a lot of people in personal development and this world that understand that identity drives things, but they don't understand what identity is. They think of identity as being the real you, but it's not. Identity is the real you, but it's also the you that you've learned to be. Okay, it's the you that the world has told you you are, and sometimes we're silly enough to believe that. For instance, if your parents, as a young child, if your parents say to you, we are a certain kind of people in our family, our family doesn't get our hopes up. Our family, we keep quiet, we keep our heads down, we don't try and be too big and clever, we don't get too ambitious. If your family said stuff like that to you to protect you, or your friends told you not to get your hopes up, in New Zealand we have a saying about being a tall poppy. Don't be a tall poppy. In other words, don't grow too tall or someone will chop you down. All of this stuff comes from good intentions to protect you from disappointment, failure, whatever. But actually, it turns you into someone who accepts second best and settles. And we've got to be careful with that because it happens a lot. Identity, when we get rid of all the stuff we've learned and all the limiting beliefs and all of the, the bullying and the self-bullying and everything else, we're left with our source code identity. Okay, you've heard the word again. This is the source code process. You want your source code identity driving here, because as soon as you do that, and I think you probably already noticed listening through to the first meditation, once this starts coming through, once this new frequency, this higher, more unique frequency starts coming through, stuff here starts to change without you even making it change. Okay? So what is your source code identity, and why is this relevant? Because for every one new thing you do or believe or strategize, you've got to let go of probably 10 other things. Everything that people understand by the law of attraction is governed by two laws, two subconscious or energetic laws that I learned right at the beginning of my career, and I've taught so many people about this. There's the law of concentrated effort, okay? This comes from a man named Emil Coué, who I'll talk about another time. But for now, just understand, law of concentrated effort is what you focus on is what happens, okay? So if you're focused on struggle, hustle, procrastination, fear, that's what you're going to get, okay? If you focus on having a successful business and growing a successful business and a joyful life and making a real wonderful positive difference, that's what starts to happen. Easier said than done. That's the problem with the law of attraction. Easier said than done, but it is a universal law. The second law, and this is really interesting, is what's called dominant effect. The law of dominant effect is that you've got two emotions or two energetic frequencies. Which one wins? The most powerful one. You've probably heard the Buddhism story about the two dogs. There's these two dogs fighting. Which one wins? The one you feed. So if you feed the fear, the negative emotion, that wins. If you fear the positive emotion, that wins. And it's the same thing here. If we feed the old identity, the old frequency, of course it's going to win. If you feed the new one, it's going to win. Okay? So what we've got here, and let me tell you about the third law first of all, because this is the really important one. The third law is called the law of reverse effect. Okay? How do we let go of the stuff we don't want? The law of reverse effect says the less you try, the easier it becomes. By trying to force, by trying to work hard, struggle, you know. And there's a lot of identity stuff in struggle. I mean, down here, the old identity, the old frequency, there's a lot in identity about struggle, which is, you know, it's a good thing to do. You know, if you struggle, that's good. That makes you honourable. That means, you know, you're fighting the good fight. And we use expressions like this. We say, I'm fighting so hard, I'm trying so hard, I'm struggling, I thought I was doing everything I should be doing. Forget all that, because that's all happening up here. Are you being who you need to be? Okay, so if you're being who you need to be, the question we ask ourselves is, what's your goal? What do you want here? Okay, if you want a 7-figure business, okay, and if you're stuck at a certain level and you want this bigger business, where you're seeing 20 clients a week, or you're doing 2 training workshops a week, or you're running seminars or retreats and online programs, and you're doing all these things, the doing, and it's wonderful, and it's throwing off these results for you. The question is, what kind of a person has that? What kind of a person has a 7-figure business, a really successful, growing, thriving business, having a positive impact in the world? You know these people, they're probably the people you follow, they're probably the people you see on YouTube, etc. But what kind of person are they being? And how can you be the person that has those things? Okay? People like this have a life like this. So who do you need to be? Now that's the first question. You need to be in your source code, fact. But who is that high frequency version of you, your identity? So you can be who you are, you can be true, authentic, aligned as you, but different in some way. Who do you need to be? Because when you are that person, all of this other stuff falls into place and your life starts to change dramatically. And then the big question becomes, what do we need to let go of? Because the activation happens next. Activating that frequency, becoming that person happens in parallel, but it's almost like momentarily after you decide to let go of everything else. See, I use whiteboards. You know, ADHD people, we love whiteboards. We just get all this noise out of our minds and write it down everywhere. So I love whiteboards. What I'll often do is I will think about everything that's bothering me, everything I'm worrying about, everything I'm thinking about, all my ideas, all the possible things I could do, etc. I put them all out on the whiteboard. And I think about who I want to be. I think about the life I'm trying to create here and who I need to be. And I look at all the hundreds of things I've written down, and I will get the eraser and I will wipe out 90% of them. Just let go of those because you don't need them. What you've got to get used to asking yourself is, what do you really need to hang on to here? What do you really need to hang on to here? And what do you need to let go of? What's the 95% you just need to let go of? And this, with EVT and the source code process, this comes down to energy. So think about it. Think about who you need to be at your most successful, happiest, most joyful, most aligned. Who do you need to be? And maybe just close your eyes, think about the feelings that you've got. And if you've got fear, well, that's not that person. So you just take a deep breath and let go of that feeling. If you feel blocked, stuck, lost, confused, comparing yourself to others, feeling unworthy in some way, or feeling unqualified in some way, rather than think about the thing itself, think about the feeling, the energy. Where is it in your body? Is it in your chest? Is it in your stomach? Is it in your thoughts? Think about that energy, that feeling, the colour, the movement of the vibration, and just let it go. Okay, this might be new to you, but once you start learning to let go of the blocks, let go of the energetic blocks, things that have been holding you back for years and years and years can literally be gone in a split second. And that's a fact. And if you've never experienced much of that, I would challenge you to look back in your life at times where you had big breakthroughs, times where you changed. You changed, you know, when you get married, as an example, when you get married, of course your identity changes dramatically. And when you get married, you let go of a lot of things from before that you don't need anymore. It doesn't mean you're not being you, it just means you become a new version of yourself in that moment, and you let go of all the stuff you don't need anymore. And it's a wonderful change. Now, this is the same right now. To grow this business you want to grow, who do you need to become? What do you need to let go of? Let's leave it at that for the moment. Go and enjoy meditation 2, EVT audio, source code process, meditation 2. Go and enjoy it. Relax. Don't question, don't analyze. Remember the law of reverse effect. The less you think about this, the less you force it, just let this happen, and then some of the other magic is going to start showing up for you. So go and enjoy that meditation, let go of the blocks, just don't question, just enjoy learning how to let go so that we can start activating, amplifying and automating everything else that you need so you can have this incredible business of your dreams and this incredible future of abundance.